Disassociation and disidentification. What's the difference in spirituality on your path to enlightenment? Hello, this is Chris speaking, Shores of Infinity, with another psychology and spirituality video. This time on what exactly is the difference between disidentification and disassociation. In many videos I have mentioned that it's a good idea to not identify with your emotions, your opinions, your thoughts, your body, and so on. This means you're not only this part of the body, you're not only this thought, you're not only this emotion, you're not only this whatever. What we usually do is we identify with an aspect, with a very tiny aspect of ourselves, for example, a thought or an emotion or a pain in the foot or whatever, and then think, this is us. When we say, I am depressed, or I have pain, or I am pain, or I am depressed, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm jealous, whatever. Well, you're not. A part of you experiences pain, a part of you experiences this emotion or that thought. To not be identified with it is to look at it while knowing that it is not all of you. It feels like this is all of you, but it's not. You keep a little bit of a distance from experience, knowing that this will pass. Thoughts and emotions and physical sensations, they come and go. It's not all of you. But it's also not you. It's still a part of you, of the whole of you, even if it's a tiny aspect that is trying to take control of everything for the moment. This is disidentification. But you still look at it. It's not just ignoring or suppressing it. As you look at this sensation, you look at this emotion, you look at this thought and say, that's interesting. Where did that come from? It might have come from the outside, influence from other people, whatever. So you still have to deal with it. You're not identified with it, but you sure as hell are looking at it and observing it and examining it. Even or especially if it's uncomfortable. The important thing is to know this is not me, that this is not all of me. It's a part of myself most of the time. Sometimes it's also something we have taken on from somewhere else, then it's really not part of me. But usually it's a part of myself that wants to be looked at, that wants some attention, often for good reason. If the body is experiencing pain, this is a sign that there's something wrong and something needs to be changed. Well, disassociation, on the other hand, is I don't want to look at it. That's not me. I push it back into the cellar from whence it came, back into the dungeon, where it can rot forever, forgotten and abandoned. Disassociation will cause problems, physical or psychological problems, and cause immense problems. Personality disorder, schizophrenia, depression, whatever. To disassociate is what we have done as children in a trauma situation, or also as adults in a trauma situation. In the moment, it's too much, so we disassociate and we leave a part behind, a part that, for example, in radical allowing is called a guardian or a guest, and this part saves our life, saves our sanity, saves our health. It's sacrificed. Now, after this part has saved us, it wants to come home. But usually our mind confuses the problem with the part of ourselves that has helped us initially to survive, and then shuts it out, doesn't want to see it again. So we have these maimed, hurt parts of ourselves that we don't want to speak to again. Well, actually they just want to come home. And these parts are causing problems. And they're getting angrier and angrier and angrier and more uncomfortable the longer we ignore them. The longer we keep them disassociated. They're parts of ourselves that are split off, and this is a disassociation. A schizoid state of mind. We've split off parts of our psyche and create a schizoid personality. So when these parts want to come back, when they're ready to come back, it's better to let them come back. And health problems of physical or psychological nature will disappear when we welcome them back and reintegrate them. If not, the problems will get worse. So part of our work towards enlightenment is to reintegrate these parts. Yeah, they're not enemies. Even the ego is not the enemy. The ego is also just an accumulation of these split off, disassociated parts. This is some work we have to do. It usually happens in Spell Dynamics Choral, but can happen anywhere, and it has to happen for enlightenment to be possible. As long as you still have split off aspects of yourself floating around somewhere, being locked up in some dungeon, enlightenment is impossible. It's anyway next to impossible. We are trying the impossible here. But if you're not reintegrated, then it's probably really impossible. So to get through this eye of the needle, through the gateless gate, you need to reintegrate your parts. You need to look at them. And you need to look at them disidentified, but not disassociated. Whenever these things come up and we push them away, no, I don't want to look at it, no, I don't want to feel this, we disassociate again. Especially with our body, we like to do this. There's pain, okay, I take a pain medication. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to know the reason. I don't want to change my life. I don't want to change my job. I don't want to change my diet. I don't want to change the place or the country I'm living in. I want to keep everything the same. The setting has to stay the same, but somehow enlightenment should happen. That's not going to work. And it's not going to work by distractions and compensations either. It will not work by keeping everything the same, dysfunctional and schizoid, but then doing some, I don't know, yoga courses or spell dynamics courses or whatever courses on the weekend or in the evening or whatever to balance it out somehow. Or doing some sports. Yeah, that's a new thing somehow. You lead a horrible life, sitting in a chair all day long in a boring office, but then in the evening and the weekend it's time for sports. That will be the solution. No, it's not. If enlightenment is your aim, your whole life has to be geared towards making it possible. Yeah, not a phony imitation, of course, but to making it possible. You don't have to pretend to be enlightened already or live in an ashram or whatever. You can do that anywhere, and it's good to have a normal job and a family and so on, will ground you. But still the setting has to make enlightenment possible, and the more you're tied up in the rules of Maya and believe that the common illusion is the only reality, the less likely it is that you get out of it. You have to know that it is a prison. And if you want to break out of prison, you can't waste your time with decorating your prison cell. And in this analogy, disassociation is ignoring that you are in prison and that it is a prison cell, and you're trying to make everything work somehow nevertheless. Well, disidentification is, okay, I know I'm in prison and in a prison cell, and I know that something else is outside, and I'm going to observe and wait for my moment to break out into freedom and jump into the abyss of the unknown. If you're still identified with your life, then you cannot jump. Then you're not, you don't have the courage to leave things behind that maybe need to be left behind. So you need to be free to jump. And to jump is necessary for enlightenment. It's not something that you can practice. It's just something you have to do. You have to jump. And to jump, you need to be free. And to be free, you need to be disidentified. But not disassociated. If you're disassociated, you also can't jump because you're trying to leave parts of you behind. But the whole of you has to jump, not just the comfortable parts. Okay, that's it for today. Give the video a rating if you liked it. It helps others find the channel. Thank you to all my patrons. Thank you for joining me as a patron, and see you soon. By the way, there are regular perks on the Patreon page, regular quotes and informations and inquiries that can help you on your path.